Happy Thanksgiving month, everybody, and Tony here with my review of the Liederabend Internationales Opernstudio at the Staatsoper Unter den Linden. The works were composed by Maurice Ravel, who actually celebrated his 150th birth year. The soloists were lyric soprano Sonja Heranen, light lyric soprano Serafina Starke, lyric mezzo-sopranos Sandra Laagus and Jing Zhu, bass baritone Irakli Pichaladze, flautist Heun Kim, cellist Grace Sohn, pianist Markus Zugehör, and the host was Detlef Giese. I was really excited to witness this particular Liederabend because aside from Sonja Heranen, who I saw 2 days ago as Giulietta from Le Comte of Man, Sandra Laagus, who I also saw several months ago as Kate Pinkerton, Serafina Starke, who I believe I also saw her as one of the Cretan maidens from Mozart's Idomeneo. There was also some new names such as Jing Zhu, as well as Irakli Pichaladze, as well as the instrumentalists found in Heun Kim, Grace Sohn, and Markus Zugehör. And last night's concert was absolutely thrilling in terms of the promising young vocal talents who are at the cusp of a very exciting international career. The evening started off with Serafina Starke and her renditions of the 5 popular Greek songs. I definitely found Serafina Starke's light lyric / lyric coloratura soprano voice to be thoroughly lovely. It's a well-balanced, homogeneous, sweet voice that is silvery in emission, crystalline in absolute loveliness. And it was not a super high singing voice, let alone a chirpy one. It was well balanced, it was clear, it was even, it was extremely well coordinated, and there was not one vocal fault that I found with Miss Serafina Starke. And she was a brilliant, bright, shining star, thus making her absolutely brilliant all the way through. Irakli Pichaladze, who was singing his song cycle, Don Quixote à deux scènes, was thoroughly virile, thoroughly handsome, and absolutely booming. I felt like I was having goosebumps when I heard this particular bass baritone rock the stage, as well as the Apollo with that virility of his. At times, he almost reminds me of a combination of Giorgio Tozzi and Samuel Ramey, and I'm sure that he could definitely receive a lot of tips and tricks from Giorgio Tozzi, Cesare Siepi, Samuel Ramey, Nikolai Gyaurov, Jerome Hines, and many of the other great basso cantantes of the past in terms of growing his repertoire as well as continuing to grow his vocal resources, because that is a virile, handsome, and thoroughly engaging voice right there, which he managed to accomplish to the nines. Then we have Sonja Heranen and her song cycle, Scheherazade. And my goodness, that creamy tone, that crystalline beauty, and that magnetic energy that I felt when Miss Heranen was singing her song cycle was absolutely amazing. It was just a thrilling experience to witness such a wonderful lirico spinto / full lyric soprano demonstrate the goods of what she could offer. And mind you, I caught this amazing young lirico spinto soprano 2 days ago as Giulietta from Le Comte of Man, also at the Staatsoper Unter den Linden. And here she was really giving the vocal goods, making her voice soar over that piano with panache, beauty, grace, elegance, and nobility. That is just something that I have grown to admire about Sonia Heranen. She kind of reminds me of a mixture between Grebe Rubinstein and Lisa de la Casa, as well as Eleanor Steber. And I'm sure that she is definitely going the route in which Grebe Rubinstein and Eleanor Steber found themselves in. What with Grebe Rubinstein and her spinto soprano endeavors, and Eleanor Steber with her natural full lyric soprano voice that is thoroughly well developed and absolutely brilliant from bottom to top. And I'm sure that Sonia Heranen will continue to develop her wonderfully coordinated chest tones as well as sing with such involvement and such nobility, because that was what she managed to emit with her song cycle, Scheherazade, and everything that she had to offer was thoroughly brilliant. Sandra Laagus and her song cycle, Histoire Naturelle, was just absolutely brilliant. There was a crystalline loveliness that I've learned to appreciate more about Miss Laagus. It was a silvery tone that was pouring right out of her mouth. It almost felt like I was watching a cascade of jewels just pouring right out of her mouth every time she sang. And her coordinated chest tones were really, really good. If she could keep on continuing taking advantage of her chest tones, as well as using her chest tones to ensure that they are very well developed, then I'm sure that she will grow and blossom into full artistic maturity, because that is a voice right there that has that beautiful extension of a soprano and just have that absolute loveliness about her and that natural beauty which she managed to emit so engagingly and do so in a way that kept me utterly breathless in the most exciting way possible, as well as in the best way possible. So Sandra Laagus was thoroughly brilliant, thoroughly commendable, and her artistry was something that I consider to be unparalleled. Jing Jing Zhu has a nice creamy tone to her voice. She has elegance and she works so well with that asset of being engaged with the text, as well as making the audience thoroughly engaged with her vocal presence as well as her stage presence. But there were some occasions in which she could have used a lot more coordinated chest tones and real chest tones, because there were also times where I noticed that her voice did sound collapsed in some areas, as in she sang in slightly collapsed head voice, when she should actually develop her chest tones, coordinate head voice and chest voice, and keep on developing her core, because that is a great instrument right there that needs a lot more growth, a lot more improvement, and a lot more vocal core and strength. This is a young lyric mezzo-soprano that I would love to see grow and thrive and therefore succeed. She has wonderful material to work with, and if she continues to develop her chest tones well, she could definitely be at her vocal best. I would even encourage both Sandra Laagus and Jing Jing Zhu to take a lot of inspiration from Agnes Balza, Nadine Denise, Frederica von Stade, Della Jones, and even the old Madames of the past, Gianna Pederzini, Ebe Stignani, and Giulietta Simonato, in terms of how real vocal theatrics work and in terms of making their voices thoroughly shine, grow, and bloom. Thus, I wish Jing Jing Zhu a lot of great vocal development and ensuring that her vocal resources remain at their prime. I also have to give major props to Haeun Kim and her beautiful flute playing, Grace Zone, and her meticulous manner of playing the cello, Markus Zugehör, in terms of him being such an amazing asset to the singers as well as to his fellow musicians, and Detlef Giese, who was such an involving host who helped us, the audience, understand the significance and let alone appreciate what Maurice Ravel's musical contributions were defined by. So overall, the Liederabend Internationales Opernstudio was an absolutely brilliant experience. I could see amazing futures for all of these young and beautifully talented singers because they have charisma, they have discipline, and they have great work ethic in terms of making their artistic endeavors and careers grow. The sky is the limit for them, and here's also hoping that they will continue to grow in beauty, artistry, and a whole lot of awesomeness from beginning to end. I also want to give a huge shout out to my new friend Sabine for being such a wonderful person and for also being just as engaged with the concert as I was, as well as giving me the program which she initially bought and giving it to me as a gift, which I remain thoroughly thankful. So Sabine, I hope you enjoy this video review, and please also let me know what your thoughts were on the singers last night. And for those of you who caught the Liederabend Internationales Opernstudio at the Staatsoper Unter den Linden, what'd you think of it? Did you feel that all the singers from Serafina Starke to Irakli Picholadze were absolutely brilliant and were in their glorious prime? Was there a singer that you particularly loved and felt really stole the show from everybody's feet? Were the musicians absolutely adequate, let alone brilliant? Or did you feel like this entire Liederabend was not to your liking? Please let me know in the comments below. Well, that's it for my review of the Liederabend Internationales Opernstudio at the Staatsoper Unter den Linden. Tune in next time for another review, which might be, yet again, Le Conte of Man, but this time starring Nina Minassian as Olympia. So until then, happy Thanksgiving month, everybody!